He is a god of the game.
It's the Shamrah show. Lords has been conquered for the third time in the history of Indian cricket. In football, it's the beginning of the era of Julian Nalgesman at Bayern, as the familiar sight of Dortmund capitulating handed his first major trophy. What's going on at Arsenal, and why are they struggling to complete the signing of England's fourth choice goalkeeper? Serie A begins this weekend, but it feels like we all know what's going to happen. Let's go!
Absolutely world class!
It's not just KL Rahul who scored a century, but we too kind of did. I mean, at least a quarter of it. Yes, guys, this is our Silver Jubilee, aka 25th episode. Yes, and like the previous 24 episodes, Ishan and I are going to help the sports fan in you to get all the updates by the time you finish probably doing your dishes, you're cutting your vegetables, or you are in a boring Zoom call where both your audio and video are muted. Hey Ishan, what's up?
What's up, Bala? I think our aim, our mission statement is basically to become the Doordarshan for everyone for sports. That while you're chopping your vegetables, you're listening to our beautiful voices, like the All India Radio, and talk about sports.
Wow, golden days, golden days. Now, see, we ended the last episode with a hope that whether India will pick up the remaining 3 wickets and win the famous Lord's Test, and they did. Like, for someone who lived through the pain of watching Indian cricket from the 90s, pain of listening to Hindi commentary through All India Radio and other thing, this is dreamland. Like, going to England and dominating a test match at Lord's this is brilliant.
Well, I won't use the word dominating, but yes, dominating in terms of the mindset, I feel, because, India won that match mentally. I will come to the talking about the partnership of Bumrah and Shami and how that broke, England's back. But I think England played the game the wrong way. I think they started, banter, which was a little aggressive when the Shami and Bumrah were batting. And the thing is that the new Indian team, as the Australians have discovered, is that if you go aggressive, India win.
Yeah.
But I want you to tell us about what were your thoughts about the Shami-Bumrah partnership?
The point you rightly brought it up, like the mentality of this Indian team, this new fresh face of Indian team is very refreshing to see. Like, they have this never bend down, never die. Like, if someone comes at them, they go like twice that aggression back at them. So, they go at a certain level of aggression. Like, we ourselves feel like, thoda kam karo yaar, theek hai, matlab, we understand you are angry. So, they are that aggressive to a level where they will be in their opposition's face, and yes, that is one of the ways how we won the game. Like, we rattled them mentally with that partnership because they used all their cards. They used Anderson, they used Robinson, they used sledging, they used everything they could, but still they couldn't take the wickets of Shami and Bumrah. Not that they scored 89 runs and then they got them out. They went undefeated. Like, as a bowling team, as a Jimmy Anderson, like, that would have hurt him. That's where we won, and this team have proved this time and again. As you said, like against Australia, against England, and well, we couldn't do it against New Zealand, but like we have been doing this consistently for a while. So it's not a one-off thing. It's definitely this is definitely a new era of cricket we are seeing.
Yeah, and I think England got the game plan wrong while Shami and Bumrah were batting. I think they went for almost like a bodyline strategy where they thought they'd bounce those two out, Root put in a very defensive field, which after a point, England are not the fastest bowling attack in the world. Yes, you have Wood, but he has spurts. He bowled 3 overs. If you last those 3 overs, the rest of them, especially Anderson, however great he is, and he is one of the greatest fast bowler for me in my mind in Test cricket, he cannot aggressively bounce batsmen out anymore. And I think they missed a trick there. They could have, kept bowling in the line. There would be a high chance that Bumrah and Shami would nick some. And Michael Holding was, getting so agitated with this strategy that England had. And I think just to end this point, it was one of the best victories up there, straight with the Gaba victory we had. Meaning, sorry, you had, we lost. But because what made really stood out for me was the first ball Rory Burns faced. You know, he padded the ball nervously. Almost eight Indian players, slips, gully, everyone converged onto the ball. It was frightening. I can't imagine the fear in Rory. Anyway, he can't barely can bat anyway. The fear in his eyes, seeing all of them charge up in his face, breathing down his neck. I think it was incredible to watch as an Indian fan. But yeah, sometimes, like you said, even I feel abhi thoda kuch zyada ho raha hai.
So one of my friends who was listening to this last week's podcast told me, and he shared me a link, which brought up a pretty interesting point on why India played that extra 2 overs after lunch and then declared when it was exactly 60 overs remaining in the day. So apparently, if India were able to get England all out before 60 overs or within the 60 overs, they won't lose points because of slow over rate in the test match table. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So imagine, I'm just thinking, like India were ready to risk drawing a test match over winning in order to save those 4 points.
Because I believe in the first game, both teams were deducted some points, right?
Exactly. Both teams already lost 4 points on the first game.
Yeah. I thought it was just
very new dimension.
I thought Kohli just wanted to screw with the English team, but this makes a lot of sense and pretty smart.
I exactly thought the same. He's just screwing.
Yeah, but I think that's really good management from the Indian team as well. I understand the risks involved, but to have the presence of mind, obviously there's so many people in the staff, they know it, but to take that risk, calculated risk, looking at the long-term aspect of it, I think that was a great call, and this shows what growth our team has taken as a unit.
Yeah, and also as a fan, it's a different dimension to look into these games from now on. It's not just one test match. It's not just one series. There's a World Test Championship, so you need to look at the long term. Again, it's just a thought. I don't think it was confirmed by anyone from the Indian team, but someone pointed this out. In our previous episode, when I asked Ishan, will this be the year for Dortmund to win the Bundesliga, he denied it even before I finished asking that question. I guess we all saw it why on Tuesday night. Like Bayern won their first trophy under the era of Julian Nalgesman. In fact, this is their first both official and unofficial win in a game with Julian Nalgesman. It was a pretty simple, straightforward game. Bayern won it 3-1. Dortmund made some stupid mistakes. Now, Ishan, before we get into the details of the game, I just wanted to ask you one question. Where do you stand when it comes to players celebrating when they score against their previous club?
It's a tough one, to be honest, because there are a lot of aspects of it. Like, say for example, a player has spent many years at a club and then moves to another. Then I generally expect them to not be so aggressive in their celebration. But if it's a short term, like if he's just been there for a couple of years, couple of seasons, then I think it's fine. At the end of the day, it's a job, right? For these players. For us, it's a lot more than a job. It's everything. Our weekends depend on it. But for them, it's just a job. So I don't see anything wrong with it. But it always takes me back to Adebayor against Arsenal. That's something you should not be doing.
Got it. So, what do you think about Lewandowski, who's proving time and again that, dude, I'm still here?
Lewandowski, man, I don't know what to say about him anymore. I feel so bad. He's playing in an era with Ronaldo and Messi. It's just unfortunate because without those two being there, he would have been by far the greatest player of our generation, the most prolific. I would still put him as one of the most prolific goal scorers because Ronaldo, Messi do a lot of other things, but this guy is your center forward by the definition of center forward, and he's so bloody good at it. And he's 34 now, and he's still so damn good. It's unbelievable. And, I think under 10 years, he's become Bayern Munich's most successful scorer, right? Highest goal scorer. That is something.
Not yet. I think he's still not the highest. I think Gerd Muller is still the highest, I believe, if I'm not wrong. But yeah, he's second, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, so, and doing that in such a short amount of time, obviously, yes, Bayern Munich have been rampant in the Bundesliga for many years, but you still have to score the goals, right? I think unbelievable, and I think he's again going to break scoring records this season. I have no doubt about it.
Yes, and Bayern, after this victory, they are playing against Cologne this weekend. One should expect Bayern to wrap that game up. But talking about the striker from the other side of the pitch, who everyone thought should have a great game or could have a great game, ended up not having such a great game. Now, one thing I noticed with Haaland, when Bayern was scoring goals, when he was getting a certain kind of a pass from other players, you could see a bit of frustration building up. Now, I'm not sure whether I'm reading too much into it or he's just he's just someone who demands that level of perfection from his teammates. I don't know. I still think he will remain this season, and I won't be surprised if he moves to Bayern next season.
Oh God. See, I see. It's quite funny, when you say that, because I see almost like a rebirth of a Ronaldo, Messi with Haaland and Mbappe. Haaland is this physical specimen, tall, fast, has that vibe, and now adding to it, like, you see similarities in his frustration when things don't go his way, like how Ronaldo has, right? And then you have Mbappe, who's this calm guy who's has moments where he can just blow the world away. I'm not trying to directly compare them, but they're almost like re-simulations of those two in a way for the new generation. But Haaland is still young, man. Like, he'll be frustrated, but he'll mature. He needs a bigger club. That there's no doubt about it. I agree with you. He'll probably still remain at Borussia Dortmund this season, but next year, you never know. Like, if Real Madrid don't end up getting Mbappe, he might actually be in Real Madrid.
Great. So now Dortmund have their second game against Freiburg. Now Freiburg, for those who don't know, they are like, I have to give an EPL equivalent, I would say someone like an Everton or someone like a Crystal Palace or someone like that. Like, they, on their day, they can beat the team.
More like a Crystal Palace than Everton.
More like Crystal Palace, like very dodgy team. Great. Any other interesting fixtures coming up? I'm just looking at the fixture list. Leipzig is playing Stuttgart. Again, Leipzig started off by losing to Mainz.
That's a good game on paper, because Stuttgart, they're not the Stuttgart they were like about 6-7 years ago. But they can be a little unpredictable. They've been fighting for relegation in the last couple of years, but this season they're a decent squad. So let's see how that goes. And Leipzig, obviously, if they can't beat Mainz, who had 15 players under COVID, they can lose to anyone.
Great. Now, see, guys, German League, Bundesliga, even the Super Cup finals, all those were on Sony Sports Network. I mean, I don't know, like, every single sporting activity in the world is on Sony Sports Network right now. I don't know what Star Sports is doing. But anyways, it's not on Fan Code, as I said last time. So it's on Sony, it's on Sony Live, etc., etc. Now, when we are talking about Bayern and their Champions League exploits, there is one English team that will come to a regular Champions League watcher's mind again and again, and that is Arsenal for losing so bad to Bayern. But we're not going to talk about how Arsenal play against Bayern, but the current Arsenal team, we just want to spend a little bit time on that. Now, before getting into the details of it, let me just lay down a disclaimer. We don't have any personal agenda against Arsenal or the Arsenal fans. Sorry?
I just laughed at the way you said that. But yeah, go ahead.
No, I'm saying like, okay. So now Arsenal, after losing to Brentford on their first game, they are trying to almost signed Odegaard. I mean, it's not confirmed yet, but it seems like it's all done. And
it's been here we go.
Okay, then it's done. Fabrizio Romano has made it official, so they mean it's official. And they are in an intense battle over the last 1 month to to sign a 30 million fifth choice England goalkeeper, a goalkeeper who played for 2 relegation teams back to back in Premier League.
Arsenal for me don't fail to surprise me season on season. I keep thinking, this will be the season where they'll come good. This is the season where they'll realize, they are a big club on paper. But the transfer decisions they've made in the last couple of seasons, it baffles me. Don't forget, they still have Willian, who's turned 75 this season, still on their payroll. I find that baffling, and they let go of Emiliano Martinez to Aston Villa, who's one of the best keepers in the Premier League, who almost, who won Argentina the Copa America very recently, and they let him go, and they're signing a keeper, which is which is a very unnecessary signing. The thing I feel sad for is that Arsenal have a very good young base right now. All they need is experienced people to support them, but they're constantly making the wrong choices. I don't see this Arteta lasting very long. I think you mentioned this as well. He might be the first person to get fired this season. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm still sticking to that prediction of mine. I still think Arteta will be the first manager to get fired. Now, again, they're not even in European competition, so I really feel scared for them. See, just looking at the next fixtures, they are playing Chelsea next, and then they have a EFL Cup against West Brom, so ignore that. Now, the point is, since they are not in any of the European Cups, their fans will expect them to put a good show on these EFL Cups and FA Cups. Now, so losing against West Brom is not an option. Like, they need to beat West Brom, and the next game is against Manchester City, and Manchester City, like, there is one thing facing Manchester City in Premier League, there's another thing facing a pissed off Manchester City. Like, they could absolutely demolish you. Like, wouldn't you? I mean, if I tell you that this game could end up being a 5-0, 6-0, would you be surprised?
No, not at all.
Exactly.
Defense. I know they signed Ben White. They spent 58 million on him. And I'll give him the benefit of doubt that it was his first game against Brentford, but he was pretty clueless throughout the game. And that won't cut it against a Man City team who's basically, smelling blood.
Yeah, and see, before the international break, which will start, I think, post the 2nd October or the first week of October game, that's the last game is against Brighton, but the game before that is against Tottenham. Now, to me, that is the game. That is like the boiling point. Like, if Arsenal don't have at least 3 wins by that time, I really fear for the worst. Now, let's quickly look at the weekend games. Any big games that's coming up? As I said, Arsenal, Chelsea, they are playing, so that's a good game to look out for. Southampton, Manchester United. I am expecting another 4-0, 5-0, or at least a 6-0, 7-0. Manchester City, Norwich City, Man City, again, they are a pissed off Man City now. So, and Norwich, I mean, look at their schedule. They started off with Liverpool, now playing against Manchester City. Liverpool are playing Burnley, again, yeah, not much of a...
I think
Oh, yes. Oh, thanks for pointing out. Wolves versus Spurs, the Nuno Derby. That's the thing, guys. The Saturday, the first game starting at 5 p.m. on Saturday, and then it's on till Monday night. Now, the league that's going to start this weekend, the League of the Euros Champions, I would say it has lost a lot of good players, but it has also gained a lot of spicy and controversial managers. Yes, I'm talking about Serie A. Let me start with the list of players who have left Serie A. Hakimi, Inter to PSG. Christian Romero, Atalanta to Spurs. Donnarumma, Milan to PSG. Lukaku, Inter to Chelsea. Conte, who was indeed a great coach. Now you're talking about the best right back, the best defender, the best goalkeeper, the best striker, and the best coach, all gone out of your league. I mean, I honestly thought that this is a season where Serie A is again back to being the Serie A's of the 90s and the early 2000s. But I don't think it will be like that.
That's sad because, last season for the Serie A was one of the best in probably a decade in terms of just watchability. There was a lot of drama. We actually saw a different club winning it other than Juventus. We saw Juventus struggling. which is a relief to see for a lot of people in Italy. But I think it's gone back to status quo in a way, because if you see the signings, Juventus yesterday just signed Locatelli on a loan with a obligation to buy. That's a great signing for Juventus, because Locatelli was, especially after the Euros, one of the most sought after players, and they literally poached him. So I think all the champions gateway fingers point towards Juventus again this season. Inter are going to struggle because yes, they've lost two of their best players. They still have Lautaro Martinez. They still have a strong team, but I don't think that pales in comparison to Juventus, who will obviously be baying for blood after what happened last season.
Yeah, and there are a couple of other interesting signings. Tammy Abraham, as he said last week, has gone to Roma. Giroud has gone to Milan. Tomori has gone to Milan. Çalhanoğlu has gone from AC Milan to Inter Milan on a free. But yeah, the most talking point will be the managers. Roma is managed by Mourinho, who I read somewhere has already shown that window to 8 players, which includes Pastore, Pedro, and a few other players. So that's a time bomb ticking in itself.
Pedro, in fact, just joined Lazio, which is Roma's city rivals.
Oh, wow! I didn't know that. Great. Oh. Oh, great.
And another interesting signing which could work for Inter Milan is Edin Dzeko.
Yes.
He's joined to replace obviously Lukaku. Dzeko 34 plus, I'm guessing, but
Yes.
he still has goals in him. So that's an interesting signing.
All right. So looking about the matches this weekend, it starts with the champions Inter Milan playing against Genoa. It's on Saturday 10 p.m. Again, this is also on Sony Network. Roma Fiorentina could be an interesting game. In fact, Fiorentina also has a new coach. In fact, they changed their coach twice in 2 months. Remember Gattuso being fired before even taking his first session. The one interesting game I would probably want to watch is Napoli versus Venezia. Now, this Venezia is a team from Venice. So this is going to be the only stadium where there is no way that the teams can reach through flight. Like the players must take a boat to go to the stadium apparently. So it will be an interesting experience.
Boat is called a Vaporetto.
Yeah, it's a very interesting team to watch out for. They came from Serie B last season. They got promoted last season. Sampdoria is playing Milan. So as I said, all these games are on Sony 10, and on Monday night we will talk about these games and a general roundup on what's happened with Serie A. When it comes to La Liga, is this the season? Like you have been watching La Liga for what? Following La Liga for what? About 20 years? Can we say 20 years easily?
Yes.
I've been following it for about pretty much the same time. Is this the first time after a very long time you think neither Real or Barca are the favorites?
I would like to say no, because there was a 3-season phase where Valencia was the best team in Spain, and they won the league, and then
under Benitez,
they were without a doubt the best team in Spain. And then there was the season where Deportivo almost won the league. But yes, you're right. It's been at least in the last 10 to 15 years, Real Madrid and Barcelona are not the favorites. But that does not mean they might not win the La Liga.
Agree. Now, what do you think, let's say for Real, and I've been reading reports, there are some news coming from all corners that Real are really going to make one big push for Mbappe before the end of the transfer window. Now, let's say if that happens, hypothetically, and there is a good possibility also that can happen. Now, is that all what Real need? Do you think that will set the team up very nicely, or do we still need more?
No, definitely we need more. But the thing is that, the only reason why I see Real Madrid going aggressively, and I'm pretty confident they still won't be able to sign Mbappe this season, is because they're moving into a new stadium, and it's for Fiorentino Perez, for God's sake, who likes those marquee signings to open a new stadium, grandiose entrances, etc. He's all for that. So That was probably one of the reasons why the rumor mills are constantly saying that Mbappe might join, but I still don't see it happening. But to answer your question, Mbappe is not the answer to our problems, because our problem is basically an aging team, and the youngsters we have brought in over the last couple of years and spent a lot of money on. They have not completely matured enough. They need time. So it's a very strange phase Real Madrid find themselves in. Meaning, I think Mbappe is definitely coming next season probably, but they need a couple of more signings to freshen the squad up. They need a proper refresh.
Great. Now Real Madrid are playing their game Sunday night or Monday 1:30 a.m. against Levante. Barcelona are playing another club from the Bilbao region on Saturday night 1:30 a.m. like Sunday 1:30 a.m. So that is Athletic Club versus Barcelona, and Atletico Madrid are playing Elche. Sevilla and Getafe, that could be an interesting game. So if you guys want to watch a very feisty game, Getafe is I could say the Burnley of La Liga. Yeah, I think that should be, or they were Burnley of La Liga under Bordalas. Now I don't know how they are under the new coach.
Burnley of La Liga is Levante, man.
So definitely, I was thinking the Getafe and the Bordalas could be Burnley, but yeah, Levante could also be one. Yeah. Great. Now again, all these games. Let me repeat it again. You're not hearing it wrong. All these games are on MTV, the channel where you watch Splitsvilla, Roadies. That is the channel. We are not joking. This is not a drill. It is on MTV.
I can't. It's still difficult to process, but credit to MTV. Being the first game I saw, the streaming quality was pretty good. So, meaning as long as that continues, as long as I don't see Splitsvilla ads in between a Clasico game, I'm fine.
Dude, I am worried about watching La Liga or something about this. La Liga is going to be a task in one of those Splitsvilla and Roadies episodes.
Yeah, because I feel like a Splitsvilla season shuru hoga, and then there'll be a Clasico, and then obviously Ranvijay Singh will get more priority over Karim Benzema.
I want to start this speed point topic with an observation. Like that whenever PSG lose League A, these Qataris go mad. It feels like they accept that not winning Champions League at some level, but they can't stand losing League A. Let me just give you a stat. They, under the Qatari ownership, PSG has lost thrice. League on thrice. 11-12, which is their first year. 16-17, which is to Monaco. And the last season where they lost. Now, just look at PSG's transfer window after all these 3 seasons. 11-12 after that, they took this big plane of cash to Italy and signed Zlatan, Lavezzi, Verratti, Thiago Motta and Thiago Silva in one window. 16-17, we all know they signed Neymar and Mbappe, and this season we all know what happened. So, if you want to pump in a lot of money into European football market, just let PSG lose League A. That's it. 200 million guarantee aa raha hai, andar aa raha hai.
That's a crazy observation actually. And it makes so much sense because then for the next 2-3 years they'll be winning Liga. But man, like I'm so excited. They've ruined football for sure. But I'm so excited to watch them play, man. Like just the thought of Messi being passed the ball from Sergio Ramos. These are things you never see happening. I don't even make these transfers on FIFA because I can't see it happening. And now we are seeing it in reality. It's just incredible. And I think PSG put up a Insta post for a 6-a-side team. They had won a game, a 6-a-side in a practice. And that was Navas, Messi, Di Maria, Icardi, Mbappe in one team. Are you kidding me?
Wow. Now, see, they are playing their game against a team called Brest. It's on Friday night or Saturday, 12:30 a.m. Now, for listeners, League A is still not being televised in India. I think there's still some issues going on because no one thought Messi is going to play for them. Now, Messi is going to play for them. May not be now, but probably in a week or two, League A should be available in India in one or other platform. And
It's going to be pretty tragic if we can't see Messi in the league, you know.
yeah. I mean, you have to see Messi. If you are losing, if you are not showing Messi to Indians, you are like right there losing about at least 10 to 15 million viewers every game. Aram se.
I agree. I agree. I think it's also quite revealing that, you know, Neymar was thought to be the guy who would replace or dethrone Ronaldo and Messi. In terms of his impact, in terms of viewership, he pales in comparison, don't you think?
Yeah, because he got a lot of that negative publicity during the World Cup, right? With all his rolling down the floor, with all its pain and crying and all that thing. Like even now, even if you talk to an average football fan, not someone like who watches every game like you and I, like someone who follows game idhar udhar, they will still think Neymar as one of that player who will just like matlab touch karega to he'll fall down, he'll roll down and all. Like I mean, there is a whole different side to Neymar other than just that part. And even many people, like if you take the name Suarez, the only thing that they'll remember is to matlab he'll bite people. Like unfortunately, at a world stage, they did it at a World Cup, right? Like where the entire world is watching. So that spoils their image big time. Now, talking about other interesting games, Nice is playing Marseille. Nice guys, if you guys remember, Lille's coach, the Lille's coach who won the championship last year is now managing Nice. In fact, Nice and Lille played the last game and Nice defeated Lille 4-0. Like Christophe Galtier moved from Lille to Nice and defeated Lille 4-0. So that's one game that could be interesting. Other than that, not many interesting games there. Now, talking about other transfers, something that's building up, Lingard to West Ham can still happen. Kane to City, I think it is not happening. It's getting too close for Spurs. I'm guessing it might happen during the winter transfer.
I agree, and we spoke about this last week that the later it gets, it doesn't seem like it's going to happen because Spurs won't have time to replace Kane. So you're right, probably the winter transfer, but Kane and his brother have really screwed this up, with that 6-year deal. So I think it's gonna, it's really sad not to see Kane in a bigger team or winning trophies because he truly deserves it.
Yeah, that's true. Now, other teams are also trying to make some last-minute signings. Like Liverpool are trying to send Shaqiri to Lyon, and there were news that Origi was also being close to a sale. Ben Davies, the player whom they signed from Preston North End for 2 million, I believe, who didn't start a single game, has been loaned out to Sheffield United. So they are trying to make one final push for a winger. I really think Liverpool need a ready-made winger because they are going to lose Salah and Mane for about a month in Jan because of the Africa Nations Cup. Salah, Mane, Keita, and I believe Joel Matip, if I'm not wrong. So they have to fill in with a player. So if not now, they'll probably look to sign someone in winter. And I think that's about it. Am I missing any other signings? So Ishan, why don't you give us any other sports roundup before we wrap this up?
It's quite unfortunate. Not much has happened other than football and cricket in the last couple of weeks because, we've reached a lull in all the NBA transfers have happened. Summer breaks, spring training has almost begun. They're playing warm-up games, so not too many movements there on. F1 again, still time for it to start. Not much happening in sports. So the moment we do have something, obviously we'll talk about it.
All right, guys. So that's about it for our 25th episode, our Silver Jubilee episode. So we had a lot of fun bringing this to you guys. Now, until our next episode, this is bye from Bala.
Bye from Ishan, guys. See you.
Thank you everyone for listening. If you enjoyed what you heard, please make sure you hit the subscribe button, and also please, they're literally begging, to rate our podcast on whichever app you are listening to. It not only helps us, but also new listeners to easily find our podcast. You can also reach out to us on Twitter @SportsCharcha. A big shout out to the Jam Room Audio for our theme music. You can follow the Jam Room on Facebook @The Jam Room Audio. Bye.
Absolutely world class.